I want you to imagine this scenario. You're taking a trip. You have a cabin out in the woods. It's the middle of winter, and you are bringing, maybe it's just yourself. Maybe you're with your significant other, your kids, your pet. And a week before you set out for your trip, you go to Amazon.com because you need cold weather gear while you're out there. You need things that will keep you warm. So you order some sweatpants and sweaters, some socks, a lighter, some firewood. And you have it all shipped to the address of the cabin, so it's waiting for you when you get there. The day of your trip arrives, and you set out off into the woods. You arrive at your cabin and find the packages on the doorstep. It's snowing outside, the air is frigid, and you walk inside the cabin, turn on the lights, and get ready to open your packages so that you can get warm. But when you open those boxes, you find the receipt, but there's no item in there. What you paid for isn't in your possession. You start to question what happened. Did somebody steal your items? Did somebody come up and find your cabin in the woods and take what was in the box? Well, they couldn't have because the boxes were sealed shut. So you look at the receipt inside of the box, and on there it says that you indeed paid for your item, and it is technically yours. And there's a line basically saying that Amazon owes you one item. How would that make you feel? Now you're in this cabin, miles away from home, cold, and stolen from. See, that's exactly what the stock market has become, and it's been going on since the 90s. And it's not an exaggeration to call it a Ponzi scheme. Name any other business, any other company, anything out there that can simply sell what they do not own. That's exactly what naked shorts are. All these hedge funds, all these companies naked shorting a stock. They're selling you something that doesn't exist, and they're selling something that they do not own. See, free market capitalism, the way it works is there will always be a winner and there will always be a loser. But over the past couple decades, it has been very clearly a one-sided game, with payment for order flow from the brokerage companies and the naked synthetic shorting that the market makers can execute. There's no way they don't come out on top, and there's no way you don't get stolen from. Wealth is no measure of a man. I don't hate rich people. I don't hate someone for having more money than me or being better off than me. But what I hate are those who lie, those who cheat, and those who stand on the corpses of innocent people just to get another dollar. Now you might say that's an overreaction, but it's not. The suicide rate after the 2008 housing bubble skyrocketed. More than 10,000 suicides were linked to the economic crisis, and that's according to Forbes. You can go look that up. Do you think any of these billionaire hedge funds bat an eye knowing that they caused this? No, of course not. In fact, they stood on balconies and laughed. They poured champagne on people outside, expressing their anger. People who had lost their jobs, people who had lost their homes, possibly people who would lose their lives to suicide. If that doesn't make you feel some type of way, then you're truly in the depths of apathy. These people are warmongers. They're not the violent type that wage it with guns or tanks, but they've been waging a financial war against everybody who isn't 1%, and they've been doing it right under our noses for decades. And they'll blame things like iPhones or iced coffee or avocado toast as to the reason why the younger generations can't get where they are. And that's obviously a lie. That's why I keep saying that this play is less about the money, and it needs to be less about the money, than it is about changing the way things work. Now, I have friends and I've talked to people who they want to get in this play and get out and, pay off their debts. They just want to get enough money to pay off cars, student loans, mortgages. And I understand that. I have debt too. But the issue with this is money in the end is not going to matter if they are allowed to continue to do this. See, the handful of cash you make is not going to be worth anything if they can just steal it right back from you over time. And I've had people tell me that, they're not going to let us win or what have you, and how it would be better off to just take the small portion, the pennies, when you can, just so we can scrape by and live another day under the system that's already rigged and in place. No. I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. I'd rather see the share price go to zero than line the pockets of those who already steal from us. If we're going to hell, we're taking them with us. Archegos, Anchorage, Melvin Capital. They've already fallen, and they won't be the last. If they're going to burn this candle, we're going to burn it at both ends. Win or lose, they are going to feel the pain. Make no mistake, no one's coming to save us. There's no reinforcements here. Each other is all we have, but it's also all we need. Tweets from Elon Musk, your favorite senators, the SEC, they're not going to matter, and they don't hold a candle to us buying and holding, especially the SEC. In 2005, there was an investor named Rob Simpson, and there was a company called Global Links, and they were heavily shorted, and Mr. Simpson decided that he had enough liquidity, and he bought the entire float of the stock. The next day, that stock plummeted to below a penny. And this was back in 2005. This was almost 3 decades ago. And it's only gotten worse from there. So the SEC, they're a paper tiger. They're not going to do anything. We're all we have. We have to hold the line. There was a town that I lived by. Newton is what it was called. And in that town as a kid, I remember there was a Toys R Us, there was a Blockbuster, there was a Modell's, and there was a Radio Shack. And I have fond memories of all these stores. I'd go to Blockbuster and Radio Shack with my mom, and I remember being at Modell's with my dad. For those who don't know, Modell's was a sporting goods store. All of those companies have been put out of business due to the malicious naked shorting that has plagued our market. So now those memories are just that now. They're memories. They can't be relived or recreated. And I do take that personally because they were snuffed out not from business practices but from malice and greed, so that these people could buy another millions of dollars worth of property, mansions, yachts, or just hoard it in offshore accounts. Last night I was watching a stream on here uh, about talking about the play, talking about the MOAS, and at one point the person hosting it, he asked people, after the MOAS, what are you going to spend your money on that isn't yourself? And people had amazing replies to that. People commenting that they were going to donate to funds that research illness that they have lost loved ones from. They were going to donate it to children's schools to make them better. They were going to help the homeless. They were going to help veterans, their local first responders, their firefighters. And that's what separates us from them. People's lives are going to be changed because of the charity of us, because we are not the 1%. We're not them. When this all kicks off and things start to get worse, they'll blame us and they'll call us a disease, when in actuality we are the cure. With every share we buy and hold, we drag them deeper into the pit that they've dug. We're clawing at the walls. We're the monster under their bed. We stand for principles that are absent from them because they're zombies. They're soulless. In 2008, they stood on balconies and laughed at us. But we're standing on everything that they're not, and we will bury them. I'll see you all on the moon.